presentations on Emmett Till. Emmett Till was an African American who lived in Chicago. He was born on July 25th, 1941. And while growing up, at the age of 5, he got a case of polio. However, luckily he did survive it. However, it left him with a major stutter. And his father died in World War II in an Italian camp. And the only thing left on his father's body was this ring. So later in his life, Emmett Till got the ring of his father, which will be important later in the story. One day, his cousins came over from Mississippi, and they talked about how they wanted Emmett Till to come down to Mississippi. So he begged his mom and begged her to come. And she told him yes. However, she warned that if you see a white woman on the sidewalks, that you need to get off the sidewalks and do not make eye contact with them. Just look at the floor. So he went down to Mississippi, and 3 days later, he got murdered. So, him and 8 other blacks that were his cousins and friends, they went down and picked cotton. On the 3rd day, they picked cotton. They went to a store. It was Carol Bryant and Roy Bryant's store, and they went in and got candy. They would sell to blacks and not only whites, just so they could make more profits, and so it was buy a cotton farm. One person went in, they were 18, they came out, and then Emmett Till went in. He placed the money inside the woman's hand, which was something you do not do down in the South. And then the 18-year-old looked in the window and saw him whistle. This could have been he was wolf whistling to get her attention, or it could be that he was doing it because he had a stutter from the polio. So then she was rushing to her car, and then they noticed she was rushing to her car, so they went in their car and went home. Later at 2 a.m., Carol Bryant's husband, Roy Bryant, and J.W. Meelan came 2 a.m. with a gun and told him to get in his car, and they would just go somewhere random. So then later, they started mutilating his body. His forehead was slammed in, his nose was flattened, eyeball drooping out. I think that's what that is right there. Cut up his ears, basically cut off the whole back of his head. And they tied a 75-pound cotton gin fan around his neck with barbed wire and threw him in the Tallahatchie River. 3 days later, he was found by a boy in the water. And then 3 days later after that, his mother got the body down in Chicago, and she wanted people to see what the whites in the South have done to him. So she had an open casket funeral for 50,000 people. And later, when she tried to go, not her, but the cousin's parents tried to go against Roy Bryant and J.W. Meelan, the whites were acquitted. All their crimes were just never existed apparently. And people call him the sacrificial lamb of the civil rights movement because he was one of the last lynchings before all this ended. And the reason Rosa Parks is here is because exactly 10 days after the open casket, not 10 days, 100 days after the open casket funeral, Rosa Parks started the Montgomery bus boycott. And it, as a sacrificial lamb, he basically started all of it. Did he help or hinder the civil rights movement? I would say he helped it because, again, he was one of the last lynchings. I forgot to take a picture. Oh. Yeah.